Hello, race fans. Welcome to another Race Face Drive-In 5 podcast here on raceface.tv. As always, Jacob Seelman in the host chair, back with Cole Denton, who has had a lot of fun things happen over the month of February that we're going to talk about, not the least of which was, again, getting to walk across the stage during driver intros a couple weeks ago at Atlanta during the Cup, or ahead of the Cup race, I should say, for your Thursday Thunder Championship last year. But we'll talk about that in a minute because prior to that race on Sunday, you got to actually, or I should say, have gotten to step up a division. So you were Young Lions last year, for those that know how the ladder system works in Legends cars. You stepped up to semi-pro starting with Winter Nationals. And we'll call that for what it was. It was an interesting transition for the first couple races. Ended up third in the finale there at Auburndale. So I'll ask the big picture question. What have you felt the transition up to semi-pro, or has it kind of been status quo in the brain of Cole Denton?
I've definitely felt it because in Young Lions, I mean, yes, there was five cars that national events can win at any moment of time, and you move up to semi-pro and there's 15. So, and then they're all racing a lot more aggressive, and it's really exciting to move up, but sometimes it's a little scary, especially if you get deep in that 40 car field.
So let's break this down a little bit further. Like we said, a lot of learning experiences at Winter Nationals. I know some things didn't go necessarily the way you wanted them to go. What was your biggest takeaway, though? Because there was a lot of competition at Auburndale all week that week.
I think the big thing was getting to learn how to race against a lot more aggressive drivers, and everybody's really, really fast, and having to learn how to pass people and race against people that you only have this much room, and if you slip, you could be in the wall. So, like the last day at Winter Nationals, when I finished third, I was beside the guy for second place, and we were giving each other 2 inches of room the entire time we were beside each other for 3 laps straight. So, having to learn how to race against people that close and not make a mistake is a huge learning curve for me.
Have you had to step up your aggression level a little bit? I mean, it's different having to, be neck and neck and race guys compared to a lot of your races last year where you could shoot pole and kind of take off and set the pace a little bit more.
I definitely have, but not overly aggressive. That's the big thing you got to be careful with is not being too aggressive. But
Right. You don't want to be the guy, you don't want to be the guy that's taking people out, but you also don't want to be the guy that's getting taken advantage of every
yes,
race.
definitely. That's a big thing that I had to learn, especially at Winter Nationals because there's 24 cars. The top 20 make the main off of qualifying. One time I didn't even make the main and had to race my way in. It's really rough, but it's exciting to get to learn to be more aggressive and be better every single time you go on the track.
As they say, sometimes you learn more from the tough nights than you do from the nights where you win races, just because there are a lot of those lessons, like you talk about, that you don't necessarily get if you're up front leading every lap.
Definitely. And the lessons you learn is huge, especially to go back to a track where there's two or three guys that can win because it helps you be like, oh, wow, this is a lot easier than having to race against 15 guys that can win at any moment of time.
Absolutely. So we'll fast forward from there a little bit. I know the podium that last day of Winter Nationals was a big deal for you. Kind of that first step of reminding yourself, hey, I can still do this just fine, even against some bigger competition. So we take that, we go to the quarter mile at Atlanta, which of course you've kind of dominated the last couple years in Young Lions. Step up to semi-pro, and you run two races. So you run the normal semi-pro feature and then the all-star race that they always run there as part of NASCAR weekend. pole to victory in the semi-pro, the main race, and then that all-star race you had a lot of fun in. What was that like? I mean, I know, it wasn't a win in the truest sense of the word. You got beat by two guys in the pro division, but still to be first across the line in semi-pro and racing those two guys guts out pretty much. I mean, what was that like?
I mean, it was really fun because racing against the pros, they're so equal and they're always the fastest guys out there. And to be able to run with them, I ran second for 25 laps and kept up with the leader. I wasn't faster than him. It was just enough to be able to like hold with him. He makes a mistake, I catch him. I make a mistake, he pulls on me. But it's so equal racing against the pros that you really have to be a lot better at handling a race car if y'all are the same exact speed. It's a lot of fun and you learn a lot getting to race against them. And semi-pros, they're not as equal, but semi-pros you can pass a lot quicker and learn how to pass a little bit more.
So we'll draw the point here, by the way, that some of these pros have been doing this for years on end, particularly in these Atlanta races, and you're 14. So what we'll stop and reinforce that for the fans that are maybe thinking, okay, this is one thing, but I mean, you're still very young in your progression with all this. Do you feel like being able to run against some of these guys that have done this for so long that you at least were able to maybe earn a little bit of respect over the course of these recent races?
Definitely, and actually the guy who won, he's a pro. He's been racing for 15 years from bandos and legends and everything. He walked up to me. He's like, "You could have sent me." I said, "I'm not going to do that. I want to earn the respect." He said, "Well, I always know that when I'm racing against you that I could look in my mirror and I know I'm not going to get sent every single turn." He said that it's very nice to have somebody to race against that you know you're not going to get wrecked or anything by them when you're really close to each other.
You've learned this before, not just winning races, but having to come through the field, that you show that respect, and it usually, I won't say always, but usually comes back around the same way to you.
Definitely. And the way I see it, the cleaner you are to everybody else, hopefully they'll race you the same way next time around. And that's one thing that I've learned, and I've always stuck by it. And never once have I intentionally raced somebody dirty. I've always tried my best to race them as clean as possible so that they would race me how I would want to be raced.
So we see it in the background behind you. That is the driver intro stage for Cup Series race day from 2 weeks ago at Atlanta, 2 weekends ago, I should say. You got to walk across that stage during driver intros. They honored you for the Young Lions Thursday Thunder Championship last year. You've now done that I think 2 years in a row, right? That you've been able to walk that stage in driver intros?
In the end of the year 2022 and then this time for the 2024
2024.
or
So two out
2024
of two out of
championship.
three. 2 out of 3 then.
Yes.
What was it like the second time around? Because obviously, with the 2023 season being your first step up, was that a moment where it's like, okay, yeah, this is just as cool as I remember it being, the first time around?
Definitely. It's really awesome to be able to walk out on that stage in front of all the crowd from the NASCAR Cup Series fans and get to walk across the stage, the same stage that all the Cup drivers walk across, literally 2 minutes after you're already walking across the stage. So it's really cool to be able to wave to the fans and get your name announced, and then everybody knows Cole Denton, the 2024 Young Lion champion. It's really awesome to be able to walk across the stage and everybody know my name.
Now, I was standing there with you a few minutes before, driver intros got going, and actually, you had a really cool moment. We Carson Hocevar came up to you once you were in your suit and had told you he was actually paying attention during the Legends race Friday night.
Yes, we were in Victory Lane for the Truck Series, and he's a teammate on Spire. So he walked up to me. He's like, "Are you?" I walked up to him to like get a picture and everything. And he's like, "Are you Cole?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he said, "I was watching you in the semi-pro race the other night." And I said, "You were?" He's like, "Yeah, you did a really, really good job." I'm like, "Thank you." It was really cool to a NASCAR driver tells me good job in a legend race.
Did you actually, Sir Carson Hocevar?
What do you mean?
And yeah, 'kay, I know it's a respect thing for you always, but did Carson not look at you funny if you said yes sir to him?
I
I
did.
that's fair. It's just one of those where I've heard a few kids do that to Carson before, and he looks at them funny, like, really? I'm not that old.
That's funny.
Particularly, and Carson will tell people, I was in your shoes not that long ago.
Yeah, that I mean, well, you always got to treat them with respect, and
Absolutely.
they are
Oh,
the
for sure.
NASCAR drivers, so
For sure. He's where you're wanting to get to still.
definitely.
But it's one of those moments where I know, and you've had a couple of these, even going back to last year at Dominion, where it's been you've told me it's been different, hasn't it, to have the people that you look up to all of a sudden recognize you for what you're doing.
It definitely has, and it's really awesome for like a NASCAR driver to say, "I was watching you last night." I mean, it feels like a big accomplishment, and I haven't even made it there yet. So it's really really awesome, and it's a big change, but it's really awesome to have a NASCAR driver say, "I was watching you."
Appreciate the little moments, my friend. Appreciate the little moments. You've got a couple weeks. I know you were supposed to be racing Saturday at Cordell, finally getting to go back home, air quotes. But I know that race, just because of weather and other factors, not going to happen. So we're looking at March 22nd, going to be your first race of the season at Cordell alongside the Pro Late Model 100. Excited to get back to what you consider your home track.
I definitely am, and it's sad because we were supposed to race this weekend at Cordell, but it got canceled because of rain. But it's really excited to be back there and my favorite track, and it's I'm really looking forward to it because Cordell is definitely my favorite track.
First race as a semi-pro after you went undefeated in Young Lions last year, so you got a standard to uphold now.
Yes, I do. It's going to be tough because there's a lot of good competition there.
Well, you are part of that good competition, and I know that takes a lot of good partners and supporters. Shout outs, thank yous. Who makes it happen, Cole?
My mom and dad, Race Face Brand Development, the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, 77 Speed Shop for giving me a super fast car every time I'm on the track, and Matt Jones Motorsports, and most importantly, God.
Cole Denton going to be on track here 2 weekends from now, Cordell Motor Speedway. If you are in the area, head out to the racetrack. Keep an eye on him for us. I unfortunately don't get to go back down to Georgia to see you for that one, Cole, but we'll look forward to hopefully having trophies to talk about here in a couple weeks for the next Drive in Five, and we'll see you then.
Hopefully so. Thank you.
That's Cole Denton. My name's Jacob Seelman. This has been another Raceface Drive in 5. We'll see you next time on raceface.tv, where you can go every single day for all the latest in the world of motorsports.